Welcome back, everybody, to the Pokemon SoulSilver playthrough. This is part 56, and we're going to be heading on over to Pallet Town to see what the heck Professor Oak wants to give me. Hopefully it's not anything bad. But in the meantime, well, I'm sorry. Before that, I'm going to be taking a quick trip on over to Celadon City, because while I was in Celadon City, I forgot to do something, not necessarily for the playthrough or the storyline in general. It was something that I forgot to get for me, and that would be in the Celadon City Shopping Center. I forgot what this place is called, and we're going to be heading on up to floor 3, which is the TM floor. I forgot to get a very specific TM, if anybody can tell by the description of the TM. That's what I forgot to get, to give to a very specific Pokemon of mine, and I will get to that sometime later. But in the meantime, I'm going to be selling all sorts of things that I just plain don't need, like those proteins and the HP ups and the rare candies and what have you. And, yeah, I was gonna say, you know, big mushroom there, probably sell that. Alright, so just sifting through everything, moving along, and heading on back to the place where the entirety of this gaming series began. That's right, we're heading on over to Cinnabar Island. It just wouldn't be a playing with Maui playthrough if there was not the biggest, stupidest derp ever. So Cinnabar Island magically becomes Pallet Town. Because, like I said, I derped, and I meant to go to Pallet Town, not Cinnabar Island. They have exactly the same icon as that tiny little Pokeball. Anyway, the thing that Professor Oak wanted to give me was HMO 8. That is Rock Climb. So now that we have the 8th badge in Kanto, and of course HMO 8 Rock Climb, we can now use Rock Climb outside of battle. Alright. So now Professor Oak is going to make arrangements for me to head on over to Mount Silver, which is very thoughtful of him, because that's important sometime later, not anytime soon. And in the meantime, I know somebody pointed this out, and I haven't been getting to them very often, and I'm very apologetic that I haven't been getting the shoutouts. So I'm going to get to one right now. Lethal XDS says, BB says, I remember Crystal. It was the first game I ever got, and I loved it to pieces. I would play it all the time and try my best to beat the game. I was such a noob, though. Imagine that. Being as young as I was, I never saved before the legendaries. In fact, I remember when I finally beat the game and went to the Tin Tower and found Suicune. I destroyed him. Then my years of memoirs got stolen. Then we moved out of Flint. Wherever that is. Alright, and just to show off in this playthrough, I decided to take the magnet train. Ping Fwip. Alright. I just find it so weird when they have to imitate, like, sound effects. I don't know, I just find it really unnecessary. It's whatever. Anyway, here comes the fancy magnet train, and that is really awesome. I like that. Now, I was under the impression that the magnet train would not only be bigger, but that there would be more people wanting to use the magnet train. And it appears I'm the only one that wanted to get on the magnet train in the entire Saffron City, and nobody else got off the magnet train from Goldenrod. Go figure. All right. I guess that's how unpopular public transportation is in the Pokemon world. Accent on the O. Which O? Silly. Bugsy, what the heck do you want? That is amazing. Tell someone who cares. Man. It's like, always with the phone calls, you know? Like, it wasn't bad enough with Lyra. Now Bugsy's calling me every 5 friggin' minutes. Not literally. Still, it feels like it. Alright, so we're heading on from Goldenrod to Ecruteak City for something that I not really forgot to do, but something that I was planning to do, and that is, of course, doing the one thing that is important to the storyline of HeartGold, but not necessarily SoulSilver. Now that I've obtained the Rainbow Wing in Pewter City, I decided it's time to take a trip to the Bell Tower, as it's called now. I'm still going to call it the Tin Tower. You know, screw what anyone else says. Going to the Tin Tower, and we're going to be climbing to the top. First, we're going to go to the Bell Chime Trail. I love how this place looks. That is awesome. That is really cool. I like that. Totally autumn feel going on there. All right, so we're at the Bell Tower. Look at our little Rattata. I love those eye catches. You're just finding the Pokemon. Hey, look, there's a Rattata. Neat. All right. So, apparently I approached this ladder from, like, the wrong side. That thing you have that's floating magically above your head! Oh my god, get away from me! Like, he fears the magic of the wing. Alright, apparently the statues say absolutely nothing. Now, I'm going to be super speeding this bit because, my god, does it take a while to get through this crazy place. Hey, we saw Rattata before, and now there's Rattata here. Now, this entire bell tower, or tin tower, whatever, you basically got to go through this crazy maze where you got to hop over a bunch of things and try to manage to get your way to the very top of the bell tower. And while I'm doing that and finding crazy items, Justin Wah 0309 says my favorite Pokemon memory was when I challenged the Cerulean Gym in Pokemon Fire Red. My starter was Charmander, so you would imagine I was having great amounts of trouble with Misty. Well, I went to the route with the daycare center and just started racking up the levels with my Charmander. It evolved into a Charmeleon, and I proceeded to kick that stupid Starmie out of the ring. My favorite Pokemon is Charizard because it was my very first final evolution Pokemon. Out of the ring. What is this, a crazy boxing match? Get out of here. Like, the Pokemon are having like a crazy MMA fight. Zero Gravity 1155 says, my favorite Pokemon memory was when I was trying to catch a legendary and threw like 9,000 Pokeballs at it, and it still wouldn't get in and stay in the ball. So I asked my friend Sydney to catch it for me, so she restarted the battle and got it down to a low HP, and she used a Pokeball and started mashing the crap out of the A button, and it worked on the first try. I asked her, how did you do that? And she said, I don't know. That's a pretty good answer to anything. And here we are, just like that, at the top of the bell tower, and here is the magnificent Ho-Oh. Probably one of my most favorite legendary Pokemon ever. Now, I want you all to pay very close attention to this battle. It's a friggin' shiny Ho-Oh! Oh my god! I lost it when I got into this battle. I had to restrain myself from yelling at the top of my lungs because I was so psyched at the insanely lucky odds. I mean, I was having a pretty good day that day. This pretty much added to it. That was so awesome. Now, I'm gonna admit something here, and it's not anything necessarily bad. Now, I didn't use hacks or anything, if anybody's wondering. This is indeed a legit shiny battle. But this is the third time that I was actually facing Ho-Oh. The first time, I pretty much got through every single one of my Pokeballs. And the second time, Citizen Zap accidentally knocked it out. And if Citizen Zap had not knocked it out, this would not have happened. I said, screw this, using a Master Ball now, because I want this Ho-Oh. That was awesome. I was so friggin' psyched. And it was funny because, you know, I had just been going through the bell tower, and I was actually thinking to myself, before the battle with Ho-Oh, I was thinking, you know, it's so late in the playthrough, I'm never gonna find a shiny Pokemon. You know, I'm not gonna have, like, that shiny Pokemon moment. So I was pretty much just, you know, resigned to the fact that I was just never gonna find a shiny in the playthrough, and then that happened. And I named that sucker OMG with tons of exclamation marks because that's exactly how I was feeling at the time. That is definitely... I don't know if that is actually the first shiny Pokemon I've ever found in the wild, because I have horrible luck with shiny Pokemon. But I can tell you that with 100% certainty, that is the first legit shiny, wild, legendary Pokemon I have ever seen. And just to catch it is awesome. I can't stop saying that word. It is awesome. That was probably, I would say that was the most greatest part of this playthrough, was just finding a shiny Ho-Oh. You know, just because of that, I love Ho-Oh even more now. It's a great Pokemon. Wow. Alright. So we're going to move along from that. And we're done here in Ecruteak City. So we're going to move on to Blackthorn City. I don't know what I'm doing. I appear to be thinking for a Minuto or two. Okay, we're going to be going to the Indigo Plateau. Whoops, whoops, whoops. Because there's really only one or two things left to do now that I've defeated every single gym leader and collected the badge. since I've defeated the Elite Four once, well, it's time to do it again. That's right, this is the second time, the rematch, if you will, of the Elite Four. And while doing that, we're going to have another major team switch. And switching out all sorts of crazy Pokemon. I just had to look at that Ho-Oh one more time because I was just in shock. Alright. So we are trading in everybody except Fireball for Espionage, Blah, Wrastlin, Big Fat Bug, and Spikes 395. And now you see them at a very specific level. And now you see them at this level. Crazy level grinding sequence complete. I figured I might as well just, just show the before and after, because, I just want to move this playthrough along, and I don't think anybody really wants to go see me, grind out, and, well, whatever, new moves I got. I don't think anybody really minds. So, with that in mind, speaking of getting new moves, we're going to be heading on back to the Slowpoke well, and, of course, getting lost, and heading on down, and while I'm doing that, where was I? Ken93CY says, my favorite Pokemon memory is when in Pokemon Episode 4, Misty got Ash angry, and he ordered, this is all crazy written, and he ordered, knowing her fear of bugs, his Caterpie to go near her. The look on her face was priceless. Oh, and also, my favorite Pokemon is Charizard and any other dragon Pokemon. I always had a thing for dragons ever since I was little. Alright. So now that we got, Rain Dance, I'm going to be having Blah and Wrastlin, forget a couple of HMs. That, of course, is Strength and Whirlpool, teaching Rain Dance to Blah, and Rock Slide to Wrastlin. And Silver Wind to Big Fat Bug. And we're going to be getting rid of Detect, because I really never, ever used it. And now it's nighttime, because it took a while. Alright. So that being said, we're going to boot up that PC again, and, oh, that's right, taking the items away, yeah. Doing all sorts of crazy items, so this is the speed up. Now, I know I mentioned this before, I love how people, Charizard, basically, I looked it up, it is based off a dragon, but it's not an actual dragon type, which I think would make it so much more awesome, Fire and Dragon Pokemon, that would be epic. But then again, dragon Pokemon are sort of overpowered, at least in my opinion. So having a dragon starter is a little bit excessive, I think. And another thing was Zero Gravity's story about his friend mashing the A button to catch the Pokemon. I remember that, all those rumors and stuff about, like, hold B and, hold A when the Pokeball opens and stuff, and it's a 100% catch rate. I used to love that stuff. Alright, so now a few things. Now, this all revolves around Espionage. Now, you're probably wondering, for one, where the heck did I get a Life Orb? Well, thanks to the magic of PokeSave, I managed to put a Life Orb into the game, as well as Calm Mind and Substitute, which I taught both to Espionage. And, well, basically, to get a Life Orb, you have to go through all this sort of nonsense of the Ruins of Elf. Now, I was going to actually show that, but when I decided to go and do it, it was really annoying, so I just decided, screw this, and I just put a Life Orb in the game. Alright, so now we're messing around with the Elite Four a second time around. Fireball is ready to go. We got ourselves a fancy new background, well, sorta new. And we are on to the first of the Elite Four. Once again, here is Will. Now you're probably wondering, playing with Wii, why are you battling the Elite Four again? You already beat them. Well, this is why. Once you beat the entirety of the Kanto gym leaders and talk to Professor Oak, although I'm not sure if talking to Professor Oak to get Rock Slide, or Rock Climb, is necessary, but after which, the Elite Four will have all brand new Pokemon at much higher levels, and you can beat them all over again. And man, I gotta tell you, it's great for grinding out some levels. Alright, so this Bronzong, a Generation 4 Pokemon. I liked Bronzong for a while. I like Steel and Psychic, so I thought Bronzong was like right up my alley. But then, once I actually had a Bronzong in Platinum, it turned out to be really weak. And I was pretty disappointed. So, I'm not sure if I hung on to that Bronzong. I think I may have switched it out with Miss Magius, another awesome Pokemon. Alright, Espionage showing off his fancy new Substitute. Who doesn't love Substitute? Substitute has gotta be like one of those moves that is just so associated with competitive battling. It's like everybody has Substitute when they go competitive battling. It's crazy. Alright, so Espionage not messing around with this Grumpig, who had Signal Beam. Of course, super effective against Psychic types, such as Espionage. But Espionage has a trick or two up his own sleeve with Shadow Ball. Super effective against that Grumpig, who's also Psychic type. Now, if you're wondering, after Espionage did his attack, he lost a little bit of HP. That's because of the Life Orb. Basically, what it does is it powers up your attacks, but at the cost of a slight amount of damage to yourself. It's sort of like having takedown, or, you know, those, like, double edge, that sort of recoil, but pretty much for every attack that you do. Not necessarily every move that you do. Like, if you do, you know, buff moves like Calm Mind and Substitute and stuff, you won't actually get, like, the Life Orb damage. But if you do an attack that actually damages the other Pokemon, then you take a little bit of damage. And in this case, for Espionage, it's 18 HP every time, which is just barely enough to survive. So yeah, Espionage taking care of business. Alright, get to some more shoutouts playing with Mui. That's what the people are saying. Scizor Fan says, my favorite Pokemon memory was on Shoddy Battle. I was in an, speaking of competitive battling, here's Shoddy Battle. I was in an intense battle in a tournament. It was the first round. My opponent and I were ready to win. We battled hard at one point. It came down to one-on-one, full health. Man, I really wish this guy would have put a lot more periods in his story here. He had a Walrein. I had a Butterfree. I knew I was faster, so I opened up with Sleep Powder, which did hit. Then I spammed Energy Ball, hoping it would not wake up on the 5th turn. It did, though, and Ice Fanged me with 6 and put Butterfree at 6 HP left. My Butterfree went down, and I lost the round. The closest battle I ever had. Crazy competitive battling stories. Honestly, I don't really get a lot of those. Blah! Out here, doing fancy rain dance. Over trying to take this slow bro to the cleaners. Yeah, I went there. Alright, so of course Rain Dance, setting up a very simple combination. Rain Dance and Thunder. Now let's see if that... Well, he sort of did Amnesia. So that's really going to buff his defense up quite a lot. And of course he's got to do it again. Very unnecessary. Thank you for making me have to work even harder to defeat this one Pokemon. Such a nice game I'm playing here. What else we got? Pokemon 10123455 has a very interesting, very philosophical, not really a Pokemon memory, but it's an interesting sort of poem-like thing. He says, what separates legendaries from me and you? It cannot be rarity, for Kabutops are few. It cannot be actions, since nothing is all they do. It cannot be strength. Some are stronger than Mewtwo. I like that. You know, it's, you know, kind of philosophical on, like, you know, the whole Pokemon universe and such. I liked it. I thought it was awesome. Alright, so Gardevoir. Now, I know I've said on several occasions that I absolutely love Psychic-type Pokemon. Gardevoir has got to be one of the ones that rank up there on, like, my favorite Psychic types, because Gardevoir just looks so friggin' awesome. And I hate having to battle it. And of course it got Trace. Sure, have Trace instead of Synchronize. So now every turn Gardevoir's speed is going to go up one stage, just like Big Fat Bug. This Gardevoir's really thinking who she is. I don't appreciate it. Oh, who could ever forget Brawl? You get a Gardevoir, comes out and sounds like it's saying God of War. God of War. I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one that heard that. God of War. Anyway, so a second silver win. Gonna make absolute certain I take care of this Gardevoir, because I don't really like how much damage that Psychic did. That was scary strong. Yep. That's why I like Gardevoir. I like these Psychic types that really rely on special attack, you know? I always like that, special attack, and rather than physical attack. You know, I mean, I do, you know, I don't really knock on it, but I put up with it for the most part. You know, I got Wrestling, and I got UMAD, and several others that use physical attacks as their main strengths. So, it's fun. We Psychics don't give up on even when we're at our last Pokemon. You're not supposed to. That's the whole point. I don't think any trainer, no matter what they are, Psychic or not, gives up, even if they're down to the last Pokemon. That's just silly. Now, this Psychic did a tad more damage than I really would have liked. So I was kind of on the fence of what to do on the next bit here, or I'm sorry, the next turn. Charge Beam, nailing that Xatu, and not really increasing Blaw's special attack, which is upsetting. And then, of course, it has a Citrus Berry. Now what do I do? Rain Dance has already run out, so I think it's time to sort of enact a different strategy here. We're gonna sift through some moves here, try to pick out what's best. I'm really just so, you know, I really gave it a lot of thought. And by that, I mean, I pretty much sat here on this one screen for about 5 minutes wondering what to do. What should I do? This is a Xatu. Come on, it can't possibly be that difficult. Thank you. Finally, I decided to switch out to Fireball for no real discernible reason. I honestly don't know why I did. Probably because Fireball is just friggin' strong. Oh, I think I see why. Nope, never mind. I just realized I already did Eruption, which was another new move that I got, of course, through leveling up. I liked Eruption, the idea of Eruption, a lot better than Overheat, to be honest. Having an attack that basically dictates how much HP you have in terms of how much damage it does, to me, is a lot better than doing an attack and it lowers your special attack by 2 stages. So I figured Overheat was a lot... Eruption was a lot better. Whoops. Sorry. Eruption is kind of a new move. I'm not really up on this stuff. Anyway, so now we're going to be healing up them there Pokemons, because, man, did they take a lot of damage. And that's going to be it for this part of the Pokemon SoulSilver playthrough. Join me in part 57, where Fireball is going to be tanking like crazy mad. Because that's what Fireball does. I mean, he pretty much just got a scratch, that's all. Pain is not a word in Fireball's dictionary. See you all next time.